Calisthenics is amazing and I absolutely love it. It's my passion. However, I can see a lot of people will quit early because of issues they'll get around their joints. Now, what I didn't realise at the start, what I obviously know now, and I want you to know from the beginning, is our connective tissue, our joints, the white stuff, takes so much longer to heal and adapt and get up to speed than our muscles do. So we may feel really strong in certain positions, but if we've not prehabbed or certainly prepped the joints and got prerequisites in our joints ready to move forwards, this can come back to bite us. So it might not be that you're weak, it might just be that you've not built that foundation that causes you to quit calisthenics early due to these joint issues. Now I'm going to show you 3 things you can include in your sessions before you get into your main part of your training on that particular day. Maybe do it 2 to 3 times a week and include it in your sessions and just help to protect those joints and build strength together to hopefully mitigate those things long term. Now there's a whole host of things we can do, but there's just 3 exercises I want you to start including in your calisthenics training that could help you going forwards, protect those joints and really start to think about how we should be protecting these joints and building strength alongside it, not in spite of it. Now, I completely get it. I was one of these people, just wants to do all the sexy stuff to get the blood pumping, the muscles built and all that stuff. So we start adding weights, we start adding more reps without ever thinking about the joints that are taking the brunt of the load or can be taking the brunt of the load. Certainly if you've not got what I talk about, the prerequisites to be able to perform a move, something else will compensate and you'll most likely get injured anyway through that compensatory factor. So we must think about our joints and that control of our joints before we start adding weights and reps. Now this first exercise is the scapular push-up. The scapula or the shoulder blades are 2 bony prominences on the upper back and they sit on the rib cage and they're designed during a push-up to glide smoothly. They shouldn't wing or shrug or collapse. They should be strong and sturdy. They should be depressed away from the ears, so don't think shrugging where we shrug up to our ears. We want to be down away from our ears and we want to be in protraction, which is sliding those shoulder blades or gliding them along our rib cage and making them wider. We then go into a slight retraction, but what we don't do is let the chest completely collapse and come towards the floor. We don't let our torso collapse and we don't let our elbows flare or bend. So I'll show you the movement. The full scapular push-up should look like this, and I'll show you the wrong way as well, just for a bit of clarity. Now I'm just going to show you this on my knees, just because it's a little bit easier for the camera. So what I don't want to be seeing is the elbows bending or flaring out and the shoulder blades completely collapsing. And look how my chest, my ribs and my torso are just collapsing towards the floor. There's no control there, so that scapula is pretty much passive and not really doing much during that push-up. What I do want to see is start in a nice protracted position. So I want you to push the ground away from you, keep your elbows locked straight and think about those shoulder blades gliding around the rib cage and really spreading themselves apart. Now we keep our ribs nicely stacked so we don't collapse them and flare them. We just keep them nicely stacked and we keep a nice hollow body in that position. And all we do from here, without shrugging up towards the ears, we engage what's called the serratus anterior, which is all this like finger-like muscles that come down the side of our torso. So by doing that, or initiating that, we can spread those shoulder blades apart and then pull down towards, or should I say away from the ears, and you'll feel that serratus fire up. So push away from the ground, serratus is engaged, and then we do our scap push-up from there. So we sink the shoulder blades together and retract them, and then we push away. And at no time does anything in the torso really change. There's none of this happening. We need to think it's the scapula that we're trying to work. So think engage that mind to muscle connection I often talk about. Scapula is squeezing together and it's spreading apart wide. And you need to remind yourself, not shrugging down. So keep reminding yourself of these cues every rep. And just start on your knees and just start to feel that scapula being in control. This will, as I say, carry over into your push-ups, dips, pull-ups, all these types of things as we go forward. So start with that exercise first, and then we'll move on to the second one. Exercise number 2, nice and simple. We're just going to hold a deep squat, or our deepest squat that we can hold safely. And we're just going to stay there and breathe through our nose and long exhale through our mouth. Now this doesn't look like much, but it's just getting into a position and staying there. This teaches our nervous system that we're safe in that position and we can hold, and basically that will improve, or help to improve, start to improve our joints that are involved within the squat. Remember, the squat isn't for your hips, it's not for your knees, it's not for your legs. Your legs, the knees and the hips are for the squat. So what I mean by that is, we don't do a squat to build a hip. What we need is a hip so we can perform a squat in that order. We don't want to be doing it the other way around. So just want you to get yourself into a nice squat, as deep as you can go, chest tall. I want you to stay here for 2 minutes, just breathing through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, and just feel how you feel in that position. What feels tight? What doesn't feel very comfortable? All these things are good feedback that we can then go forward in our training and think, this might be an area that I need to work on. So let's just relax here, teach our nervous system, we're safe in this position, and we can then do our work for our lower body in our session that can really help to be benefited by just holding this position. The third and last exercise I want you to include in your sessions before you do your main session is the hollow body hold. Now this teaches proper ribcage control, also helps to protect the lower back, and obviously it strengthens the core. It's a great core exercise. But what you can often find is when people break this contact with the floor in the lower back and arch, it puts a lot more load through the spine and can be quite damaging to the spine with prolonged use of that bad form. So what we want to do is get into our hollow body, get strong in that position, really tense everything up. So we're tensing our arms, our core, our glutes, our abs obviously, and our quads. We're just engaging and contracting the hell out of everything, but at the same time having control in our rib cage and our breathing that we can maintain that posture. So it's the hollow body hold. It's a great exercise. Obviously one of the most, for me, the strongest foundational core exercise you can bring into your training. So let's get to do the hollow body hold together. So the most important thing during the hollow body hold is that our lower back stays in contact with the floor at all times. Now you might find you can only start in this bent leg position, which is perfectly fine, and you may find you have to start with your arms by your side. Perfectly fine. In fact, at the start, I'd rather you start here and maintain that strong form. So we collapse our lower back into the floor, so you can't get your hands there. As I say, it's natural to have the arc, but when you're lifting your legs, that puts load through the spine that we don't want. So we start off bent legs. You can see my feet are on the floor, shoulders are now on the floor, lower back's engaged, and then we sink our ribs as though we're collapsing them down towards the floor. And at the same time we bring our shoulders up, off the floor, and then we lift our feet just slightly off the floor too. And this is the hollow body hold. So we want to breathe into that area of the belly, the diaphragm area, and then on the exhale, do a nice exhale and sink deeper and create more tension between the lower back and the floor. We can progress this up by maybe alternating leg position and doing a scissor action. We can bring our arms overhead, we can do the full position. Many ways to progress it, but at the start I just want you to get to feel that first position of the hollow body that really engages our core, and we tighten everything up so everything is really contracted. Hold for a good 10 to 15 seconds, longer if you can, and maybe do 2 to 3 sets of that before going into your training for the day. People might be asking, how do you put this together? So I would recommend do this 2 to 3 times a week before your main session. And for the scapular push-ups, maybe go for 8 to 10 reps, 2 sets of those. The deep squat, I did say 2 minutes in the video, but if you feel that you can only do 60 seconds or 30 seconds, that's perfect. Just whatever you can feel comfortable in for the time being, and maybe do a couple of sets of that. And then the hollow body hold, 10 to 15 seconds initially in that regressed position, building up to 30, even 60 seconds in that position if you can hold it. But initially just do maybe 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 seconds of the hollow body hold. Add them in 2 to 3 times a week, and you will be getting your joint health and your strength being built together off to a good start. If you're looking for calisthenics training without wrecking your joints, this is the channel for you. Please like, subscribe, hype the channel, and let's build together.